Good morning, LinkedIn. How are you guys doing today? And YouTube. I sometimes forget this is going live on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be talking about how not to give a boring presentation. So if you are watching me live, do say live. And if you're watching the recorded version, say recorded. Very excited to talk about this just because I give so many presentations. I have learned many things along the way, and I have worked with a lot of my clients in perfecting the way that they give their presentations. So if you are someone that is not so great at giving presentations, you just don't enjoy them, and you just think that what you are talking about might be a very boring topic and you want to add a little bit of spice in there, make your audience actually enjoy the presentation, then this one is for you. All right, now before we even start, I do want to let you know to make sure that you join me on the next masterclass that I am holding. This is going to be for people who want to get better at impromptu speaking. If you are someone that is just not so great at giving presentations and you're not so good at speaking up during meetings, then do join my masterclass. Go to www.speakatwork.com. Again, www.speakatwork.com. You can also go to my LinkedIn profile and you will see a link directly taking you to the page where you can sign up. So do join me on my next masterclass. It's going to be lots of information. It's absolutely free. You just have to show up. Now let's talk about presentations. I used to hate giving presentations, and I realized it's really because I didn't know how to give them, right? And I used to think my presentations were boring. If you think your presentation is boring, chances are your audience also thinks that your presentation is boring. So let's talk about a couple of things that you can do, specifically 5 things that you can do to make your presentation much more enjoyable for not only your audience, but also for yourself. Now, the first thing that you need to do when giving a presentation is you have to make sure you're breaking patterns. Okay, what does that mean? Breaking patterns. Have you ever heard that before? That means you need to stop doing the same thing continuously all throughout. Let's say you're speaking for an hour, okay? Make sure you're not doing the exact same thing throughout the entire hour. If you have presentation slides, right? Take a break from there. Give your audience maybe an exercise to do or something else. It could be maybe a Q&A in between. Right? If you're going to speak and give a presentation slide the entire hour, people are going to get bored. You need to break that pattern and do something a little bit different along the way. It gets too repetitive. And the way that we just work, human beings, if we see the same thing over and over, we get so immune to it that it doesn't leave some sort of impact anymore. Do say hi in the chat box. I do have it open. Hi, Shalini. How are you doing? Hi, everyone. If you are watching live, say live. So that's the first thing. Make sure you are breaking patterns, not doing the same thing over and over again all throughout the hour. Now let's talk about the second thing that you should be doing. Second thing that you should do is engage your audience. Now, the problem is when you're speaking, you feel like, okay, I'm the one speaking. That means I have to do all the talking. All the pressure is on me, when it's really not. Right? This is just as much about your audience as it is about you. So you need to get them to like engage with you throughout. There's so many different ways for you to do that. For example, ask them questions in between, right? How do they feel about something? Are things making sense? Get them to chime in and give their opinions on things. Ask them questions. That's the best way to get them to be engaged. And when you're asking questions, here's the thing. You're not going to just ask any question, okay? You need to ask very specific, easy questions. You have to remember your audience, they're only going to respond and engage if they know that they know the answer and that they're not going to embarrass themselves, okay? That means you can't ask any difficult questions. You need to ask very yes, no type of questions. Those are the best type of questions to engage your audience because it's very easy for them to say yes, and it's very easy for them to say no. If you're going to ask them a crazy question where they really have to think and they really have to put together a good answer, chances are there's going to be a lot less engagement from them. All right. And of course, they don't want to embarrass themselves in front of their colleagues. Another thing that you can do is with the type of questions that you ask them a question that you've already answered, so they should know the answer to that question. Okay, it's very important. Be very strategic with the type of questions you ask. The easier they are, the more engagement you're going to get with your audience. All right, moving on to the third thing that you should be doing. And this is something that I thought most people did, but as I've been seeing presentations, I realized not a lot of people do this, but it is very important. If you don't want to give a boring presentation, if you want to sound more confident when you're speaking, if you want to engage your audience, if you want to have fun while giving a presentation, then you need to do this next. But before we continue, do sign up for my masterclass if you are someone that is looking to get better at public speaking, if you have a fear of public speaking, and if you have a fear of impromptu speaking. When people come up to you and ask you a question and you don't know what to do, then this masterclass is really going to help you. All you have to do is sign up at www.speakatwork.com and join me on my next masterclass, which is happening very soon. You just need to sign up, you'll get a link, and then you'll be able to attend. And I only have a certain amount of seats available, so I do need you to sign up as soon as possible because I do cut it off at a certain point. Now, let's move on to the third thing that you need to do in order to not give a boring presentation. By the way, if you think that your presentations are boring or that if you need to make your presentations better, let me know in the chat box. Or if you think I give the most amazing presentations, then let me know as well. And let me know what about those presentations are making them so great. I would love to know. Okay, so let me know. I am taking a look at the chat box. I love seeing your responses. I do go back after, by the way, and look at all the questions that you guys ask and everything that you guys are saying. So do take advantage of the chat box. Great tool to have. So speaking of chat box, if you're doing an online presentation, now we're going to get into the third thing that you should be doing. If you are online, right, there are different things that you're going to do, offline versus online. So the third thing that you need to do in order to not give a boring presentation is use different types of media. Okay, what does that mean? That means don't use the same type of media throughout the whole thing. Okay, it's a 1-hour presentation. You could be talking like this, right? Let's say it's online. Spend a little bit of time just speaking to your audience, just like this, how we're doing it right now. And a different type of media would be, okay, guys, so now we're going to break it up and we are actually going to go through a couple of slides I've put together for you, or I've put together a lesson for you. So then you're going to break it off from there and now you're going to bring in some slides. Okay. So now that you've brought in slides, talk a little bit with that for a few minutes and then break it up again, right? Then you can move on to something else. All right, guys, we're going to take a few minutes here and maybe put people in breakout rooms, right? Again, the more repetition you have, the harder it is for people to pay attention and the more boring things get. So the more you can change things up, the better. And a great way to do that is to start using different types of media. Okay. Now, what about face-to-face? It's a little bit different, right? Face-to-face. Online, I feel like you can get away with a lot more online. But online, the problem is also that people are looking at a screen and they can lose, or you can lose their interest very, very quickly. That's why if there is a chat box available, like there is right now, always ask people to utilize it. Ask them for their opinions as they're going along. Ask them to answer the questions in the chat box. Ask them to speak in the chat box and say something. Ask their questions there. That's going to keep them engaged as well. Now, going back to what do you do if you are going to be face-to-face, right? And you're giving a presentation. It's a little bit different. Now, the thing with face-to-face, right, it's so much easier because you can do so much. For example, if you're face-to-face, let's say you have your slides up, right, your presentation going on your slides, and then what you need to do is you should also have maybe a board where you can write things down as you are speaking, okay? So have your slides, that's one type of media. Then you can have a board up, that's another type of media. You can even have some handouts that you're giving people where they can write, right? Let's say you break it up and you're like, all right, let's do a quick exercise that this is really going to help you remember everything that you've learned. Hand them something. That's a different type of media that you can use, right? So break it up, use different types of medias, use different types of things. And the more you can break it up, the better it's going to be for your audience. All right. So what have we covered so far? Quick recap. The first thing you want to do if you don't want to give a boring presentation is number one, you're going to break patterns. For everyone that's just joining us, say hello in the chat box. I do have it open and I am looking at my chat right now. I am reading your messages. So number one, you're going to break patterns. Number two, you're going to engage your audience. All right. Number three, you're going to use different types or different forms of media. Okay. Let's move on to number 4 now. If you do not want to give a boring presentation, you have to do this. If you are finding that you're giving presentations and people don't like it, there's something wrong with the presentation, right? Maybe it's the slides, maybe it's the colors you're using, maybe it's the way that you're speaking. So you have to start getting feedback from people, okay? That means every time you give a presentation, send some sort of survey to them. I love using SurveyMonkey. That's really the easiest. Or you can just send an email asking them, hey, what did you think of the presentation? What did you like? What did you not like? It's better to give a survey because then you can be more specific with the things. You can ask them like, hey, did you like the slides? Or was there something in particular that did not make sense? Did you understand the message? Would you attend this presentation again? Would you refer someone else to this presentation, right? That's really going to give you an insight into how much people liked or disliked the presentation. Here's one more thing that you should do with the surveys. Make it anonymous, all right? You want to make it anonymous so that people could be 100% honest with you. Most times, especially at work, if you're going to get a survey, many people think that, oh, this person is going to know who I am, and I don't want them to think that this is what I think about them or their presentation. So I'm just going to say, hey, yeah, no, it was great. And then people are not as honest. So you have to, in order to get honesty, in order to get real feedback, in order to really make your presentations better, make it anonymous when you send them a survey. Let them be 100% honest and do not take these things to heart, right? Sometimes people might come back and say, that was the most boring thing I've ever heard, right? That can happen. Don't take these things personally. Instead, take this as a learning opportunity to make your presentation better. I see some people are laughing. And you know what? I have had that. I've had times where people were like, wow, this is so boring, right? Or I didn't like this. Okay, now I know this is boring. I need to fix it, right? Since then, no one has said, hey, your presentations are boring, Maria, right? But you always want to get feedback from your audience. Okay, these are the people that are going to sit there and listen to you speak. They are hopefully not being forced to be there, but they're taking out the time to be there, and you need to deliver, and you need to make sure you're not making it boring for them. And here's the thing, if you don't make it boring for them, it's more fun for you as well, right? Energy is contagious. If I'm having fun, you're going to naturally start having fun. If you're having fun, I can feed off of that energy. So it's a two-way street, but you being the speaker, you're walking people through that street, right? So you have to do everything on your end. So get feedback and get it from your audience. Make sure it's anonymous feedback, so it could be 100% honest. Now, speaking of feedback, here's one more thing that you should do when it comes to getting feedback. One more person specifically you should be going to. And that person is, guess what? Your boss, right? Your boss is more experienced. Your boss knows a lot more than you. Your boss has so much more insight than you. So you need to talk to your boss and get feedback from your boss as well. Every time you give a presentation, go to your boss. Ask them, hey, what did you think of the presentation? Get some honest feedback, and they will be honest with you. Hey, so we didn't have much of a turnout, or this happened, or it just looked like people were bored, or you were talking about this thing specifically. I don't think that's necessary. Or you know what? You forgot to talk about this. You should have added this part in there. Your boss is going to be pretty honest with you, right? And your boss hopefully wants to see you succeed. So if you go up to your boss and you ask them, hey, can you give me some feedback? What did you think of my presentation? I do want to make it better, and I do want to make sure that people are enjoying them. So what was your feedback? get feedback from your boss. It's also going to make you really look good in front of them, because then they're going to know, okay, Maria actually wants to give better presentations, so she is getting some feedback. And by the way, if you are watching live, do say hi in the chat box. If you are watching the recorded version, do say hi as well. Moving on to the next thing. Okay, so if you do not want to give a boring presentation, here is the next thing that you should be doing. You are going to, by the way, I hope I'm not frozen. This happens a lot. Can you guys hear me and see me okay still? Let me know in the chat box, please. So the last thing that you want to do in order to not give a boring presentation, and here's the thing, it doesn't matter what you are talking about. You could be talking about the most boring data out there, right? Especially engineers, right? Sometimes you're just talking about very simple statistics, data, might not be the most exciting thing, right? But the way that you deliver that message is going to be a game changer. Okay, it's going to be a complete game changer, the way you deliver it and these few things that you add in there to engage your audience and whatnot, right? So I want you, this is the fifth thing that you need to do. I want you to really ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, hey, would I listen to this presentation? If I gave this presentation and I was part of the audience, would I like it? Okay. Be honest with yourself. Would you like it? If you're giving this presentation and you're finding that just giving that presentation is boring, then chances are it's going to be boring for your audience as well. So you need to really be honest with yourself here. Am I someone that if I was watching this presentation, I would enjoy it? If no, all right, what can we change here, right? What can we change here? What is something that we can do different here to make sure that people can actually enjoy it and it's not boring? And again, it does not matter what your topic is. You could have the most boring topic and make it so amazing. It's such an amazing presentation. In fact, let me give you guys an example. And I like to talk about my professors a lot during university because I'm an introvert. I analyze people and I've always been into public speaking, or I wanted to get better at it at least. So I was always analyzing my audience, my professors. So let me give you an example, okay, of two professors that I used to work with. This is back when I was in university. I was taking two classes. One was world politics, or I think it was Middle Eastern politics, and the other one was English. I think it was something with English. I don't remember what topic exactly, but I was taking two classes. So you would think that a class like world politics or Middle Eastern politics would be a lot more interesting, so many things to learn. So I would go to both of these classes. They were around the same time on different days. And what would end up happening is one class was really full, the world politics one, and the other one was not so full. Okay. And as the semester started progressing, the world politics class, because the professor was just so boring in delivering his presentation slides, towards the end of it, there were like maybe 5 students left in that class. And this is a hall of, you can fit 250 people. There were maybe 5 people left in that class. On the other hand, the other professor was such a good storyteller. He was so good at presentations. His presentations were amazing. And all he was really talking about was how to put sentences together, right? Like how to sound better, these type of things. And his class, towards the end of it, had more and more people, okay? There were so many people coming to his class. It was a hall of 250 people, and people were even sitting on the stairs because there was no room to sit down anymore, right? So what was the difference between these two professors? You had one professor that had such a interesting topic. There were so many things he could have done with that, but nobody came to his class anymore because his presentation style was so boring. On the other hand, you had a professor that was talking about nothing that interesting, but because of his delivery, the way that he presented, his classes were so full. And that's when I knew, I'm like, okay, something's going on here, right? And it was the way that they were presenting the more I looked into it. So what's the lesson here, right? It doesn't matter what you are talking about. Your topic can be the most boring topic, but the way that you deliver it and the more personality you bring out, the better it's going to be and the more people are going to enjoy it and the less boring it's going to be, right? Nobody wants to sit through a boring presentation. I'm sure you don't want to sit through a boring presentation. So don't make your audience sit through a boring presentation as well. And follow all 5 of these things that I've taught you guys today to make your presentations much better. We're going to do a quick recap, talk about each one for everybody that is just joining us. But before I let you go and before we do the recap, I do want to invite you to my next masterclass that's going to be held very, very soon. And it's going to be for you if you want to get better at public speaking, overcome your fear, and move up the corporate ladder. So I'm going to teach you how to speak, what to say, how to say it in order for you to move up much faster in the corporate ladder. All you have to do is go to www.speakatwork.com. Again, that's www.speakatwork.com. You can also go to my profile. It is right under the description of what I do. You just click on it. It's going to take you there right away. All right, let's do a quick recap. I'm very big on recaps because I want you to make sure that you remember these things. And I want you to let me know in the chat box, which one of these are you going to start doing now? So we covered 5 things for you to do to not give a boring presentation. And they were, do you guys remember some of them? If you do, let me know in the chat box. And as I'm going through them, let me know which one you're going to start doing right away on your next presentation. First thing that you need to do is break those patterns. Break them up. Don't do the same thing the whole hour that you have with your audience. You're going to get bored and you're going to lose them very quickly. Second thing that you are doing is you're going to engage your audience. Presenting is a two-way street. It's not just you speaking the whole time. I know we think it is, but the more of an engaged audience you have, the better it's going to be for you and the less boring it's going to be for your audience. Okay? And then number 3, use different types of media. If you guys are still with me, media, chat box is a type of media. Let me know in the chat box, right? Hey, yeah, I'm going to start engaging my audience more. Or yes, I'm going to start breaking up those patterns a little bit more. Okay, let me know in the chat box. I would love to know your side and what you think. All right. And then number 3 was, again, different types of media. So you want to use your slides. You want to use maybe a chalkboard if you have one. You want to use different things, right? There are so many different things, so many different types of medias. Break it up depending on where you are. Sometimes just speak without any slides. Sometimes break it up and go to your slides, okay? And then number 4, you want to make sure that you are getting feedback. You're getting feedback from who? Do you guys remember? Who are you looking to get feedback from? You're looking to get feedback from 2 people. Number 1, your audience. You should be getting feedback from your audience. And number 2 is your boss. Ask your boss, what was good about my presentation? How can I make it better? Let me know, please. And actually apply those things that they tell you. Lastly, number 5 was really put yourself in your audience's shoes and ask yourself and be honest, would I like this presentation? Is this a presentation that I would sit and want to watch, right? If it is, great. That means it's going well. If it's not, then it's probably not going so well, right? So be honest with yourself. If it's a good presentation, if you are going to sit there and watch it, then yes, okay, this is a great presentation. I'm going to keep doing it, right? But again, you'll have to continuously improve too. That's a big one as well. You guys can hear me, right? I'm always worried that I'm frozen and that I'm just talking to myself. That's my biggest fear when it comes to a presentation, that I speak, I do something and I'm not connected or something went wrong and nobody's listening and it's just me talking to myself and I've just done nothing basically. So if you can hear me, let me know in the chat box. Can you hear me? And are you guys still there with me? So these were the 5 things that you need to start doing right away. I want to know which one are you going to start doing, you're going to implement today. Number 1, breaking patterns. Number 2, thank you so much for letting me know that you can hear me. Number 2, engaging your audience. Number 3, using different types of media. Number 4, getting feedback. Or number 5, asking yourself honestly, how is this presentation? Putting yourself in your audience's shoes. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that now you know how to not give a boring presentation. If you're here and you've learned this, you are no longer giving boring presentations. You're going to have fun giving the presentation, and your audience is going to enjoy it just as much. So again, I will see you on the next live free masterclass. All you have to do is sign up at www.speakatwork.com. I'm super excited to see you guys on my next masterclass, and I will teach you guys lots of great things there. So if you enjoyed this, you're really going to like the masterclass. See you guys soon, and I will be around. Do say hi to me. Send me a message in the chat box. And if you're not already connected with me, do connect with me, follow me, connect with me. I love connecting with you guys and meeting new people. So I'll see you guys soon. Take care.